Okay, so my problem says a ball is kicked off of the roof of a building. The path of the ball travels is modeled by the equation f of x is equal to negative x squared plus 6x plus 16. So in this problem, I drew a little picture so I can understand what's going on. Now it says the x-axis represents the ground and the y-axis represents the building. So that means this is my x-axis here and my y-axis is pointing up. So x is in meters and so is y. So we're used to h of t here and t, where t was time and h was height. But now the x is in meters as well. Okay, so part A, it says how high off the ground was when the ball was kicked. How high off the ground was the ball when it was kicked? Okay, so that means when it's kicked is the very starting point. How high off the ground? And if the ball starts off of a roof of the building, I'm really just trying to find out what the height of the roof of the building is. So that means no distance has gone by with my x value. It's still right on that building there. So I'm plugging in 0 for x. So f of 0 is equal to negative 0 squared plus 6 times 0 plus 16. So this whole term goes away, this whole term goes away, and I'm left with 16 meters off the ground. Part B says how far from the building is the ball when it lands? And I know that that's the x-axis, how far this ball is going to be from the building. Usually it's time, so how much time has gone by, but here we have how far. So if I want to figure out what x is, how far it is from the building when it lands, this is when my ball lands. So my y value here is 0. So y is 0 here, or if we're talking about the height, same thing as y, that means on the ground. So 0 is equal to negative x squared plus 6x plus 16. And from here, because my quadratic equals 0, I can use the quadratic formula. So I'm going to have negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times a negative 1 times 16. So be careful of your negatives here. All over 2 times a, which is negative 1. So if I want to simplify this, I'm going to have negative 6 plus or minus. Always do what's in the square root first. So I have 36. Here I have a negative 4 times a positive 4, or times a negative 1, so that's going to turn into a positive 4. 16 times 4. So that gives me plus 64 all over negative 2. Now I have 36 plus 64. So that gives me plus or minus the square root of 100 over negative 2. Square root of 100 is 10. So I have negative 6 plus or minus 10 all over negative 2. So from here, I'm going to have two different answers, right? I'm going to have a positive version and a negative version. So I'm going to have negative 6 plus 10 over negative 2 and negative 6 minus 10 over negative 2. Negative 6 plus 10 gives me 4. 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. And then I'm going to have negative 6 minus 10, which gives me a negative 16 over a negative 2, which is equal to 8. Now, what is my question asking? How far from the building is the ball when it lands? I can't have a negative distance here, so that means 8 meters away is my distance.